Hello and good morning. How's everybody doing today? This is Rich Harshaw, and we are here for our webinar on turning one sale into many. I'd like to thank you for coming out today. I know everybody's got lots of things to do, but not sure exactly where you're located. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area like I am, then get ready for some tough weather. It's been a weird month for weather, but here we go. Let's talk about this topic, turning one sale into many. You know, as a marketing consulting firm and a marketing services agency, we get people coming to us all the time, and they always have the same desire, which is we want more business, we want more customers, we want more leads. And usually what we see is that desire is focused in pretty narrowly on give me more leads. We want more leads. And indeed, we do lots of things with our customers and on webinars and in consultations to help people get more leads, whether that's mastering internet marketing to an extent that it generates more leads through the web for you, or creating and producing and placing advertisements that work better. But it's a really kind of hidden asset that most companies have. Hidden asset meaning there's an asset that you have that you probably don't even realize, and it's your current customers. And I'd like you to just take a few minutes with me on this webinar today and focus on this topic of what can we do to take the customers that we already have and multiply them into more customers. Obviously, that's why you're on the webinar, because you heard that was the topic and you felt like it was interesting enough to show up. But that's really what we're going to talk about. Not really generating more new leads, but getting more from the customers that we have. I want to amend what I just said a little bit. Getting more new leads, but getting them from the customers that we already have. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to tell you right now, the stuff we're going to talk about takes a little bit of time and effort and isn't necessarily the number one most easiest thing to do in the world, but that's where the opportunity lies half the time, is just finding things that work, that can be done, that if we put the time and effort and systems in place to accomplish them, it gives us a tremendous competitive advantage, simply because the fact is most of your competitors will not do these things even if they were thinking about them. So keep that in mind as we go through this. So let's pause down for just a minute and recognize our sponsor, which is NT Window. I'd like to thank them for being a part of this webinar. If we do not have sponsors like NT Window, then we do not have webinars like this. So I would like to encourage you at the conclusion of this webinar, if you found value in what you've learned, do me a favor and just drop a note to whoever it was that invited you to this webinar, because it's because of them that we have these events. NT Window has a website, obviously, ntwindow.com. If you want to learn more about them, you can go there. Certainly, you can call them at the phone number listed on the screen. And I will also give you an opportunity at the end of this webinar. I'm going to run a poll on this webinar that's going to allow you to check off your interest in a few different things that you may want some follow-up on. And if you would like to hear more from NT Windows, find out more about their offerings, then you can simply click on the NT Window choice, and the good folks at NT Window will be in touch with you. They got some fantastic marketing programs. One of the things that they do that is so much better than a lot of the companies that are in their same space. And you know what? We work with a lot of them. We've seen a lot of them. We've dealt with companies that buy from lots of different dealers and so forth. And I'm going to tell you that the company NT Windows, aside from having outstanding products, it kind of goes without saying, the support that they give to their dealers in terms of just making things available, like this webinar. You know, it's not an easy thing to put on a webinar like this, but they do it. And they've got marketing materials, fantastic company, down to earth. So give these guys a call. Look them up online if you haven't already established a relationship with them. So let's talk about this now. And I put this on the screen. It's a picture of, every house on the block has your sign out front because you've done so much business. And that may be a little bit of an exaggeration that you can get every home on the block, but it's indicative of what we're trying to accomplish here today in terms of turning the sale into additional sales, okay? Now, most people have heard of what's either called proximity marketing, or sometimes it's called neighborhood marketing. Sometimes it's called, what else is it called? Radius marketing, which is where you take a few postcards, you send them out there, and you sort of hope for the best. Regular proximity marketing is usually 2 or 3 postcards. It'll say something like, pardon our dust, or we're in the neighborhood. Hopefully you're going to catch somebody's attention. Hopefully they'll even get an awareness that you exist, but you're really only likely to catch the most now of the now buyers. In other words, people that were already proactively thinking, hey, I need new windows, or I need a new roof, whatever it is that you sell. Those are the kind of people that are going to contact you, and everybody else, which is the vast majority, they're probably not going to pay much attention to that little postcard. It's certainly not going to swing them into action to say, well, geez, if the Johnsons down the street are getting their windows replaced, then here's this postcard, maybe I should do the same thing. It's generally not going to be enough. So we've got to up the ante, and we do what we call super robust. Super robust proximity marketing is a multi-touch program. Now, this is key, multi-touch, designed to force the neighbors to deal with you. Now, that sounds a little bit heavy-handed, and perhaps it is, but, you know, it's one of those things where we've got to make sure. The biggest problem in any marketing endeavor is just getting seen so that people look at you and go, okay, I'll deal with you. And that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to accomplish that with some repetition. They might not have a need right now, but at least they're going to know the following after we get done with this thing called super robust proximity marketing. They're going to know that the neighbor has used you for a particular service. They're going to know why the neighbor chose you instead of the other companies that you compete against. They're going to know why they should get this service done. Now, let's just take windows, for example. It may be a stunning fact to some of you that not everybody is just sitting around thinking that they needed to get new windows. They're not. Most of the people don't even really think about their windows at all. So when they get this little postcard that says, pardon our dust, we're putting new windows in the Johnson's house down the street, they don't even sit there and think, well, maybe I should get new windows too. They don't realize that they have a need. So we've got to educate them as to that. They're going to know why they should choose you to do it, and they're going to know that the neighbor that hired you absolutely loved you and had a good experience with you. Those are the things that we want people to know. When I say at the top of this slide, it says we're going to force people to deal with you to the extent that we want them to understand these 5 things. The neighbors used you, why they chose you, why you should do this too, why they should choose you to do it, and that the neighbor loved you, okay? So there's 9 steps, I believe. The first step is a job site sign. Now, this should not be particularly earth-shattering as a suggestion to you. I know that I would say probably about 70 to 80% of the remodelers that I've talked to, which is a lot, use job site signs. If you don't use job site signs, let this be a strong recommendation to do it. I suggest that you get ones that have some sort of a color that catches people's eyes a little bit. This one here on the screen is blue. You'll notice that the sign itself is not particularly wordy or have any particular advertising message. We just want people to see it and know it and say, okay, here's a company that is doing some work in this neighborhood. It's going to be a visual reference, because here's what we're going to do. We're going to start piling on top of this other things that people are going to see, and we want it to start to sort of anchor back to this sign that they may have seen in their neighborhood. Now, maybe they don't see this sign in their neighborhood because maybe they live on a street over and they never drive on that street, but that's okay. That's why we're going to come at them with multiple touches so that we have the maximum opportunity, okay? The second thing, step 2 of this super robust proximity marketing, is you're going to get a take 1 flyer box. Now, this is what the real estate people usually use to put flyers about houses for sale. But if you put a job site sign out and then you put a take 1 flyer box right next to it, you can buy these things online for somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think about maybe $15 or something like that. They're not particularly expensive. Some of the real estate supply companies have these, and you can buy them in bulk for maybe as little as $11 or $12 in fact. So take a look online for those. But here's the key thing: we want to put in it a flyer. And to fit the actual box, it's an 8.5 by 11 size, so we can put these in there. And we want to put a flyer in there that's not just any flyer. If you guys are not familiar with the concept of identity, I'm actually going to cover it a little bit later on this webinar. But here's what we want to make sure. We want to make sure that people see not just that we exist, not just that we have a company, but that there are specific reasons that people do business with us. It's called an identity. It's called communicating with power, precision, and passion the specific things that we do that make us different, that make people like us, to help the prospect understand what it is that we do that makes us the best choice. We want customers to fall in love with us or should I say prospects, fall in love with us before they actually ever even pick up the phone or invite us into their home for a sales appointment. And we can accomplish that in the marketing through either this flyer, a combination of the website that you'll create, and so forth. So you'll see one here. It says, introducing the easy, no hassle, no pressure way to buy windows and skylights in Phoenix. And then it says windows, doors, skylights without the long drawn out sales meeting and confusing choices, free from pressure. We find out what you want, make recommendations, then step back and let you decide. And then we've got, of course, the website where we tell them what they can get, price quotes, customer references, customer reviews, low payment offers as low as $187 per month, guide to replacing windows, how to choose a contractor, all of that available online, which gives people specific things to go online and look for. And then you'll see down there at the bottom on the left in the blue, it says free from sales pressure, free from lengthy pitches, free from hassles, free from regrets. This is part of the identity that I just mentioned. And then an offer up to $500 off. We give them a little bit of incentive if they take action. So this is what we want to do in terms of the flyer, the take one box. Now, you might be surprised to learn that people will actually take one from the take one box. A lot of times people think, well, you put that in there, it's just going to sit there, it's going to rain, it's going to get wet, whatever. And yeah, sometimes that happens, but here's the reality. You put these out there and people will take them. They're walking the dog, they're exercising, they see that, and they'll take a look. One of the reasons they'll take a look is it's unusual. How often do you see a take one box that's not for a house for sale? It's pretty infrequently. So I encourage you to do this. It's just one more touch point. Now, this is key also, a customer overview sheet. Now, this is what we're going to do to sort of recruit the customer, your customer, the one customer that we're trying to turn into many, into playing ball with us and helping us out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to offer them a little reward if they'll help us out. It says, help us spread the word and we'll reward you for your efforts. Save up to 10% on your project. In our experience, customers who purchase products from us often live in neighborhoods with homes built around the same time that might have the same types of need for the same type of projects. If you're satisfied with the work we do, we'd like to invite you to help us spread the word with your neighbors. Don't worry, very minimal effort is required on your part, but by helping, we're willing to give you a discount on your project. Now, clearly, you would want to work the discount into your normal pricing structure. You're not trying to take margin out of your pocket to make this happen. You're trying to work this into your normal discounting programs, okay? So it says, here's how it works. Step one, photographs. We'll photograph you and your home before and after and post the photos on our website and sometimes use them in mailers. So they've got to be willing to let you do that. Number two, job site sign. We'll put our company sign in your yard for 30 days where we're allowed to by HOA rules. If it's not allowed, then of course we won't do that. Step three, take one box. We'll provide you with 100 of our company flyers to keep in a take one box filled, and we give them the responsibility to keep it filled. Now, some people may or may not do this, but it won't be for lack of giving them the flyers and asking them to do it. Step four, mailers. We'll send mailers to your neighbors announcing that we've done work on your home. See the back of this page for examples. And if you flip this over, you'll see examples. I will actually show you the examples here in just a minute. Step five, references. In the event that any neighbors call you for a reference, we appreciate your honest recommendation. And then we give them an opportunity. It says the original quote, the participation discount, price after the discount, and it says, I agree to participate in Freelight's neighborhood marketing program as follows, and that they basically just sign their name to the fact that they're willing to be photographed, put their references, and all of the things that we just talked about, okay? This is key. This is something that you really need to do to get full participation from your clients. And as we go through this, I think it'll become evident how and why that's the case. So step four is the radius postcards. This is usually the number one. Hang on, I got a technical issue I got to deal with here. Okay, it has been dealt with. This is usually the number one and frequently the number only thing that people are actually doing for a radius marketing program is the postcards. Now, these postcards are not just haphazard postcards. We're not going to waste people's time by saying, pardon our dust, because that's kind of dumb. What we want to do is we want to educate them. We're going to define a radius of, I'm going to say at least 50 to up to 150 neighbors, and then we're going to mail them postcards. I like 6x11 postcards. You see there in parentheses it says LHRHTC. Here's what that means. It's an acronym. It stands for left hand right-hand trash can. Now, here's what happens. When somebody receives that postcard in the mail, they're going to take it out. It's big enough. They're going to look at it. And as it goes from their left hand into their right hand and on into the trash can, if we've created the postcard properly, which I'll show you here in just a second, then guess what? It's going to have an impact on that person, even if their intention is to put it into the trash. Even if they do actually ultimately put it into the trash, we're still going to have that split second where we're going to make an impact, okay? You don't have to time the send. Sometimes people say, well, should I send them when I'm, start the job or after the job? And my advice to you is don't worry so much about that. Just make sure it's around the time of the job. You don't want to do it 6 months later. That's dumb. The postcards can be customized with customer's name and address for maximum impact. We want to focus on the following things. Number one, identity, like I mentioned earlier. Number two, reasons for needing the service, why you want to replace your windows or replace your roof or whatever it is that you do. And then social proof. Social proof. Here's other people that have done what we're asking you to do. So by way of example, here's a postcard. We just replaced your neighbor's windows. We'd like to give you a free, no obligation, no pressure quote on windows for your home. Fast quote, 60 minutes, good neighbor discount, save money on energy bills, keep your home comfortable. You flip this over, and we emphasize that getting a quote on windows is fast and easy. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to appeal to the fact that, hey, at least get a quote on this, see how much it's going to cost. You might be surprised. And then, the no pressure, no hassle, straightforward pricing. I'd like you to look at the language that we use on this. It's very powerful. 3 steps to saving, $500, free estimate, no pressure, no hassle, straightforward pricing, the easy, no hassle, no pressure way to buy windows and skylights, free from sales pressure, free from lengthy pitches, free from hassles, free from regrets. And we're trying to get them to see through this postcard that, hey, this looks like the kind of company that I would like to do business with. So that's postcard number one. Postcard number two, recommended neighbor approved. Would your neighbor recommend free light for new windows? We just completed work for the Johnsons on 1231 Whispering Oaks. Now, what we're hoping is that even though most of the neighbors probably don't know the Johnsons, here's what we want. We want them to at least go, wait a second, 1231 Whispering Oaks, I live on Tyler Street. Whispering Oaks is one street over. Oh, okay, I don't know them, but this is somebody close to me. We want there to be some recognition there. Call them and ask, do you feel like you got a good value on windows? Did you feel any sales pressure? Why did you replace your windows? Were there any problems? If so, were they handled okay? If you had to do it over, would you choose free light? And then we give them this information of the actual customers' names and phone numbers, and not just the first customer, but 10 other customers. Call any of these people, right? We want them to see it. We want them to call. This is called social proof. Now, maybe we send a third postcard. Did you know that replacing your windows and making your home more efficient can be done for as little as $187 per month? You can afford high-quality windows that can withstand Arizona's brutal heat. And if you flip this over, it's the same back as we had on the first postcard because that one was very, very powerful. So here's what we've done. We've helped people see that it's easy to get a quote. We've given them social proof. We're giving them an idea that it's inexpensive to make this job happen. So those are the postcards. The next thing is we're going to throw a little bit of a curveball. We're going to send them a mailer that's a little bit different, a check mailer. Maybe you've seen these before. So a check mailer kind of looks like a check, right? It comes in an envelope. You can see through the little window that it's a check, and we can actually make these so that they're printed and mailed so that they're customized for every customer on the list, okay? So let's take a look at what it looks like. I'll put it on the screen. And you see over there where it says pay to the order of, that would be where we would inkjet the customer's name. We just replaced one of your neighbor's windows. We'd like to offer you a good neighbor discount if you do the same. The attached check above is worth $500 off your replacement window purchase. There is an asterisk there, and that's going to let them know, if they read at the bottom, that it's good for 10% off up to $500. Now, you can customize that offer to say whatever you want. It doesn't have to be exactly that offer, but you get the idea. Did you know that your windows could be costing you an extra $50 to $300 a month in energy costs for each month? That's true. Most people think energy prices are too high and fail to realize that lousy windows are to blame for their high energy bills. Then it goes on to describe the identity of this company. You'll see those in blue points. Most efficient windows, true 100% for life warranty. Hang on. Excuse me, there is just no gracious way to sneeze on a webinar. No sales pressure, great prices, and so forth. Now I'm going to go back one slide, and you can see This is a 8.5 by 14. It's actually letter, not letter size, but legal size. It folds up. The phone number, the website, all that stuff is at the bottom. Okay. Again, a close up. That's step number 5. So far we've got the letter, the document that we use with the customer so that they're willing to participate, the job site sign, the take one flyers. We've got 3 postcards, 1 check mailer. Then we're going to send the testimonial letter. Now this is some heavy artillery. We want to send it in a personal envelope, and it's going to speak directly to the neighbor from the person that got the work done, okay? This could be templated so customers only have to sign off, not actually write it. If you ask your customers to write a letter, a couple of things are going to happen. Number 1, they're not going to do it, so that's a problem. Number 2, if they do it, which is rare, it's probably not going to say the stuff that you want it to say. Now, occasionally it might, but I just would rather not play those odds. I'd rather just do it for the customer and say, look, here's the letter. Is this okay? If you'd like to change it, or if you don't feel like it's accurate, please let us know. But overall, we'd like to send this letter. So here's what it looks like. It's not handwritten. And you say, well, it would be better if it was handwritten. Well, of course it would be better if it was handwritten, but good luck getting your customers to handwrite letters. That's too difficult. We have to deal with reality. So here's what happens. It comes out. It's got from Joe Stevens, 1221 Tyler Street, Southlake. And again, we want people to look at that and say, I don't really know who Joe Stevens is, and I don't really know where that address is, but I am familiar that that street is in the general vicinity of my house, okay? Dear neighbor, I have never sent a letter like this before, and I'll probably never send one again. I recently had my windows replaced from a company called Freelight. They asked me if I'd be willing to send a testimonial letter to my neighbors if I was pleased with the job. Normally, I would have probably said no thanks, but I have to tell you, I really did have an extraordinary experience. And if you have considered replacing your windows, I can wholeheartedly recommend this company. Freelight claims that they free you from all the usual problems associated with dealing with home improvement contractors, things like high sales pressure, pricing games, unmet promises, and so forth. I want you to know that's exactly what happened. My experience was as follows: short sales meeting, no pricing games, no sales pressure, fair pricing, lifetime warranty, genuinely nice people. Anyway, if you're thinking about replacing your windows, give these guys a call. They were great to work with. You can reach Chip Marvin, the owner, by calling this phone number. Tell him I said to call. If you have any questions, feel free to call me, customer's phone number, or email me at customer's email address. Thanks, Joe Stevens. Okay, that's how that works. Now, all we need, per my previous discussion, is we just need the person to be willing to sign off on that particular letter. We don't need them to write it, okay? And then we send it in an envelope that is handwritten and hand stamped. Now, it's actually handwritten by a computer, but it looks handwritten, okay? And the reason is simple. We want people to get it. We want them to go, Joe Stevens on Tyler Street, who is that? Why is he sending me a letter? What is this? And then boom, they pop it open. Now, hopefully they've seen the job site sign or the take one flyer, but even if they haven't, hopefully they've seen at least 1 or 2, if not 3 of the postcards, the check mailer, now the testimonial letter. You see how this is starting to pick up some momentum? It's like a snowball coming down the mountain. And then step 7, this is the key one, and it's not optional, and you can't say, well, I'll do those other things, but I don't want to do this, because I'm going to tell you, if you do those other things, but you don't do this, it's just not going to work nearly as well. This one is harder. This is where it gets a little difficult. And what I'm going to ask you to do is go door to door. Now, before you freak out and say, I don't want to go door to door, let me explain it to you a little bit, okay? First thing we're going to do, we're going to create a list of the neighbors, and you're going to hire 1 designated canvasser to knock all those doors. Now, remember, we're not sending those mailers out to 13,000 people. We're sending them out to what? 100, 50, 150, some relatively small number. And we're going to hand that list to your person. I recommend somebody that's in the 18 to 25-year-old range. I would probably prefer him be male, just for safety's sake. I don't know, maybe that's a sexist thing to say, but I certainly wouldn't want my 19-year-old daughter out there knocking those doors by herself. Anyway, you can do it with a single person. This is not, but that doesn't mean single like not married. It just means 1 single individual, just 1 person, not a van full of canvassers like you normally think when you think of canvassing. After the multiple touches of signs, postcards, mailers, the canvassing efforts are going to be more effective. It's softening the ground so that now when we send this person in, there's at least a glimmer of recognition in a decent percentage of the people that open that door. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to create something called a big bill, and we're going to use it as an icebreaker. A big bill, what is that? It's literally an oversized denomination of money, 17 inches long by 7 inches tall, that is designed to look like a big, giant dollar bill. Why would we use such a tactic? And the answer is simple. Because when people see it, it has an astounding, ice-breaking effect on them. Now, this is a quick example of what it looks like. It's a $1,000 bill, and maybe you're going to offer, well, you know what, if you're going to offer $500 off, you probably want a $500 bill. But I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay, when you knock the door, you're going to have your canvasser write down what happened. They went home, they told me to go jump in a lake, they set an appointment, they said that their parents weren't home, whatever it was. Go back to the neighborhood 3 times, try to find more people home, different times of day, different days of the week, so that if you go in the mornings, you only get 20 out of 100 people there. Now you go back in the afternoons, maybe you pick up an additional 20 people. You're going to leave that big bill as a door hanger every time. Okay, it's going to give you one more shot to reach the prospect, and I want you to see what it looks like. Here's what it looks like up close. It is ginormous. Now, that's a pretty big door there, by the way. Now, let me explain this to you in a little bit more detail what happens. What you do is you walk all the way up to the door, put your toes on the bricks in this picture, and then you take 2 good-sized step backs as you ring the doorbell. Then, when somebody comes to the door, you extend the bill money side up. I'll show you what's on the other side in just a minute, but you extend the bill money side up, and when the person opens the door, you say to them, I'd like to give you $1,000. Or if it's a $500 bill, I'd like to give you $500. Now, here's what's going to happen, and here's where the magic really occurs, and this is why this works. And maybe you're sitting there looking at this going, I don't know, that's kind of stupid, or it's kind of cheesy, or that's dumb, or I don't know, or any number of negative reactions you might be having to this, but I want you to consider the alternative. The alternative is you knocking on the door, not having this big bill, and saying something like this. Hey, I'm in your neighborhood trying to talk to people about windows. Would you like to have a quote on windows? You've got to understand what's happening on the other side of that door. When somebody comes to that door, in this case, it's got a big glass window on it. In other cases, it's a peephole, or they're looking, looking through the blinds or something like that. When people come to the door and they see that it's a person that clearly is not recognized, they don't know who it is, who's probably trying to sell something, their number one reaction is, I need to do anything I can to get this person off my door as quickly as possible because I don't even want to engage with them. I don't want to talk to them. I just want them gone. I regret not having built a trap door in front of my door when I built this house so that I could just push a button and have them whisked away to the ocean. That's what they're thinking, okay? Now, here's what you do instead. You extend the big bill. You say, I'd like to give you $1,000, and I'm telling you, it short circuits, in many cases, that entire thought process of I want to get rid of this person, and it redirects their attention to the bill, and they go, huh? Which is all you want. You say, yeah, I'd like to give you $1,000. And then you tell them something like, look, we're in the neighborhood. We're giving up to $1,000 off of new windows. Let me ask you a question. Then we go through a process called qualification questions. It's beyond the scope of this webinar for me to go into the training about exactly how to accomplish the canvassing, but I want you to understand there's a definitive way that you can get more results than just knocking on the door and saying, hey, we'd like to give you a quote on windows. There's a set of qualification questions. What we're going to do is we're going to try to engage with them in a conversation. Yeah, we're in the neighborhood giving up to $1,000 off new window replacement. Let me ask you this. Are your energy bills too high? Well, yeah, they are. Well, or maybe, no, I don't know. Are your windows original to your home? What materials are your windows made out of? Are they vinyl? Are they aluminum? It looks like they're aluminum. Did you realize? Okay, then what we're looking for as we go through these qualification questions is we're looking for some people that actually engage with us in a conversation. Now, some people will try to shoo us off, and that's okay. That's the nature of the beast, right? You're not going to have everybody just fall in love and want to talk to you right up front, but some will. And if you soften the ground, and if you use the big bill, and if you use the qualification questions, you will find that people will have a conversation with you. One more tip on the canvassing. I would take the first, second, and third postcard along with the check mailer and the testimonial letter. I would take them in your office, put them on a desk, fan them out, take a stapler and staple them so that they stay put. Glue them together a little bit, And then you can also show people, hey, we sent these mailers out to you. Did you see them? And what you're looking for is a recognition, okay? You're looking for a recognition. Here's what we've just accomplished. Some people will have seen the job sign. Some will have taken a flyer. Everyone will have received 3 postcards. They all will have gotten a check mailer. They all will have received a testimonial mailer. Over half will have talked to your rep if you go back 3 times. And the rest, everybody else, will at least have found several door hangers, okay? They're going to find those door hangers, trust me. On the back side of that door hanger, there's going to be a flyer, and it's going to talk about your identity. It's going to look very similar to the flyer that we put in the Take One box. It's just going to be formatted for the longer, taller back of that bill, okay? Minimum number of contacts is going to be 6. Maximum number of contacts is going to be 10 or 12, depending on how many door hangers were left. That's pretty powerful. This is going to give us a fighting chance to have a discussion with somebody that's going to make a difference. But here's the warning. Like I said before, it takes some time and some effort, okay? You can't just write a check and this stuff happens. It takes some coordination. At the end of all of this, this is what's involved in terms of the materials. One of the biggest challenges you're going to have is finding that person. But I'm going to tell you, I want you to make a distinction in your mind. Just because a Porsche is a car and a 1980 Chrysler is a car doesn't mean that they're the same thing. It's not about point A to point B. And just because canvassing with a single person, like I'm talking about, is knocking doors, it's not the same thing as hiring a van full of guys to manage passing out flyers all over town. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about finding one person who can go out, make notes, go back to the homes that didn't answer, leave the flyers, have an intelligent conversation, ask the qualification questions. This works if you actually do it, okay? So let's go to the next topic here. So that's what I have for you on proximity marketing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about referrals, and we're kind of building a family tree here. 1 customer turns into 2, and 2 turns into 4, and so on and so forth. That's how this is supposed to work. Let's talk about referrals. Everybody wants more referrals, but here's the problems. Salespeople never ask for them. You have too many other things to worry about. You don't have a system in place to generate them. Everything's always reactive, so you always get less referrals than you thought you should get. So let's understand the reality. Your customers have better things to do with their time than actively sell for you. They don't want to do that. Most people do not know someone who needs what you sell right now. Okay, so generally when the topic of referrals comes up, the advice is make sure your salespeople ask for them. But I'm going to tell you that is not good advice, because the reality is your customers do not actually know. I'll give you an example. I'm a bit of a runner. I'm not like super good or competitive or anything like that, but I like to do it. It's enjoyable. It's relaxing, good way to de-stress for me. And it's obviously good for your health. So I like to participate. Well, this goes back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I was up in Idaho on our annual 4th of July vacation. We go up there every year to visit in-laws, and my brother-in-law was there. He was visiting as well. And one morning I said, hey, I'm going to go out for a run. Beautiful weather up there. It's summer mornings in Boise, Idaho. It's 70 degrees. I mean, it's just perfect running weather. Love it up there. And I was going to go for a run like I frequently do when I'm on vacation up there. And my brother-in-law said, hey, would you mind if I went with you? Now, I was a little bit surprised. And the reason I was surprised is because my brother-in-law is about the size of Bigfoot, okay? At the time, he was about 6'4" and about 330 pounds. But he wasn't like a big, huge, fat guy, 330 pounds. He was, I mean, he definitely, was overweight. But, I mean, he's just a big old dude. My brother-in-law, he's just a big dude. And he said, you know what, I'm trying to lose some weight. And his sister, not my sister, but his sister had asked him if he wanted to run a half marathon. And he thought that, maybe he would try something like that, but he'd never run before. So he said, would you mind if I went and ran with you? And I said, sure. So we go out and we run. And, we run together a little bit. I take off and go, quite a bit further and faster than him because I am a seasoned runner. He's not. But we get back to the house, and he's covered something like 3 3 miles, which is a big deal for him, okay? And when we get back, I said, well, how did it go? How was your run? And he said, you know what? I really enjoyed it. It was hard, and I'm clearly out of shape, but I liked it, and there was something, good about it. He said, but one problem is, he said, my shins really hurt, and I'm wondering if it's my shoes. And I looked down at his shoes, and he just did not have good shoes for running. And he asked me a question. He said, well, what kind of shoes are those you have on, and do you like them? Now, I was wearing at the time a shoe called a Nike Zoom Vomero. Now, I've currently changed to a different shoe, but at the time, I was wearing a Nike Zoom Vomero, and I loved that shoe. And the only reason I switched is because every year Nike switches their models, and they had some ones later that I didn't like. But at that time, I loved that shoe. Oh, my gosh. In fact, I bought 3 pairs of that shoe. I was able to wear them for about 3 years before I had to switch to something else. And I just raved about the shoe, and I told him how great it was and how comfortable it was, and I've been wearing Nikes my whole life, but this Nike is the best one, and man, it's great. And he said, well, where did you get it? And I told him where I'd gotten it and how you can buy them and how much they cost. And he said, man, I'm going to go get some of those. Now, I'm telling you this story about my Bigfoot brother-in-law because it perfectly illustrates a real-world scenario of how referrals happen. Okay, I had purchased that Nike Zoom Vomero shoe months before that July something encounter with my brother-in-law. I was just going for a run. I had no intention of, quote unquote, selling that type of shoe to anybody, but it came up in conversation. My friend, or in this case my brother-in-law, was interested, so I gave him a recommendation, and he went on to buy that shoe. This is exactly how referrals happen in real life for things like windows and siding and roofs and swimming pools and kitchen remodeling. Later on, when it comes up in natural conversation, that's when people will give and receive referrals. The fact is, if I had been buying that Nike Zoom Vomero and the sales clerk would have asked me, well, how do you like that shoe? Well, it's great. Well, hey, I'm glad you like it. Let me ask you this. Do you know anybody else that might want to buy some Nike Zoom Vomeros? I would have looked at him like he was crazy, and the reason is this. I do not keep a list of the stuff that people I know want. Nobody does. I mean, occasionally you'll have a friend that says, oh, man, I got to upgrade to the new iPhone, something like that, but rarely do you know what kind of stuff your friends are thinking about buying or wanting or needing, so you just don't know. So we've got to take a different approach. We've got to make sure that when that natural situation comes up, that you are well positioned as a company to make sure that your customer gives that referral, okay? The key is to make sure you get a strong recommendation when the topic is naturally brought up in the future, okay? Getting referrals is a lot more like farming than hunting. Okay, hunting for referrals says, tell your salespeople to ask for referrals. Hey, why didn't you ask for more referrals? You want to know why salespeople don't ask for more referrals? It's real simple, because they never get them. And because they never get them, they don't ask for them. If they were getting referrals every time they asked, you wouldn't have to prod them and poke them and bribe them to ask for them. They just ask for them. This is the real reason, okay? So 3 steps to getting more referrals. Number 1, focus efforts on the customer experience. If people have a great experience, they're going to be more likely to naturally refer you to their friends, like I was with the shoe to my brother-in-law. Number 2, proactively reward customers for the referrals using reciprocity to your advantage. I'm going to show you all this in detail here in just a second. It's just sort of setting the stage. Number 3, ask for referrals using marketing in a systematic, consistent way. Do not leave it up to chance. So let's go back to step number 1, and let's talk about it together for just a minute. Step number 1, the more you wow your customers, the more likely they'll give you referrals. Number 1, focus efforts on customer experience. Clearly communicate your identity. Remember Free Light? We talked about them. No risk, no pressure, sales experience, pre-positioning materials, the sales presentation, the way that you treat people, following up from the sales manager, manger, that's where Jesus was born, but a sales manager, constant communication throughout the job. Now, I'm going to tell you something about this one, and I put it in red for a reason, because this is a big one. You have to understand that in your line of work, because you're a remodeling company, you know exactly what the time frames are, you know exactly what to expect because you've done this thousands of times. Your customer has never bought windows before. They do not realize that they have to be custom made in a factory somewhere and then shipped to the warehouse and then scheduled for installation and then at some point in the future actually put into their house. They don't realize that you're not going to just run down to your distribution center, grab the ones that you need for their house and come back and put them in tomorrow. They don't realize that. And so if you don't explicitly communicate time frames, what to expect, setting expectations with your clients, they will start to feel like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Why is it taking so long? And if you will take the opportunity to communicate with them throughout the entire process, you will avoid negative thoughts that come into people's minds. And I'm going to tell you, it happens even when you're doing everything right, even when there's nothing remotely slow about your normal protocols, people will start to wonder what's taking so long, and it starts to feel negative, okay? Under promise, over deliver. Tell them it's going to take longer, deliver sooner. If your customers love you, they're going to be likely to give referrals to their friends. Now, this is some ideas of identity for a particular company. Kitchen remodeling. Are you anxious to get the job done, or are you anxious to get the job done right? I could honestly care if you have a list of 3 remodelers who are cheaper than me. We take a little longer. We cost a little more, but wait till you see the final product. You know, the home show, persnickety, demanding, hard to please, and I'm the remodeler for you. We're not the fastest or the cheapest. We're the best. We put together a postcard series. Now, I'm just showing you marketing that somebody might have seen in the process of buying from you. I shut down the job site and discussed, ripped out the entire floor, started over again from scratch. Me and not done exactly right don't get along very well. If I have to choose between profit and perfection, I'll choose perfection every single time. Now, the idea here, what I'm trying to show you, what I'm communicating to you, the listener of this webinar, the viewer of this webinar, is that if you have a strong identity, if you're communicating consistently on your website, on your marketing materials, in your home show, in your brochures, your identity, people will start to notice it, they will appreciate it, and they will identify your company with those positive attributes that you're portraying, okay? This is important because later on, when the natural conversation arrives about, in this case, kitchen remodeling, or in your case, maybe windows or siding or what have you, then you're more likely to get that referral. You know why? Because there's a stronger impression of who you are and how great you are in your prospect minds. Now, you might be deliberating with me a little bit on that and arguing with me a little bit on that point, because here's what you might be saying in your mind. No, Rich, you don't get it. You don't understand. We're just that good. We don't have, you know, this identity in our marketing like this, but we're so good at what we do that people are going to remember us. And I'm going to tell you that that's a dangerous way to think, because you've got to understand what people's expectations are going into a remodeling project. Their expectation is that they're going to get fair value for their money. Their expectation is that they're going to get good service, that you're going to do things right, that they're going to like the final result. That you actually deliver on those expectations does not give you gold stars or medals that you can wear. It only allows the prospect, the customer at this point, to check off on their mental checklist, yeah, they did what they said. Yeah, they communicated okay. Yeah, I like the final result. And then at the end of all of that, here's what normally happens when you walk out of the door and you've got a happy customer. The customer looks at you and they say, yes, I'm happy. Yes, I was satisfied. Yes, I would recommend. However, that's what I was expecting. And what I'm telling you is if you've got good marketing that has an identity, like the kind I'm showing you some brief examples of here, here's what happens. They come into the experience with you with a heightened set of expectations about how they're going to be treated and what's going to happen. And when those things actually do occur, remember, they were going to occur anyway, whether or not you promoted them. But when they do occur and they do match that expectation with their experience, now you get credit for all of the things that you do well, instead of them just simply checking off on their mental checkbox. Okay, well, they did a good job. Now they can just leave. Hang on, I've got some noise here. Let me get rid of this noise. Okay, so that was step one. Be awesome was step one. Step two, proactively reward your customers. If you do not have a proactive referral system in place, you're only going to get a fraction of the referrals you should be getting. Here's what you want to do. Give your customers a reward up front and build reciprocity that can be beneficial later on. If you've sufficiently wowed your customers, Your gift should be an exclamation point at the end of a great experience. So here's what we're going to talk about is the job is over, take part of your budget, and send them a thank you gift for their business and ask them for referrals, okay? First thing, identify a gift, something that has a high perceived value. It could be, you know what, honestly, the easiest thing to deal with is gift cards to restaurants. Now, I prefer that you use something that has a box that you can send them a gift, but that's a little harder to manage, and I understand and acknowledge that. So use gift cards. Send it over to your customer. Create a letter that expresses appreciation for being a customer. Send it with the free gift. Let them know that if they give you referrals, that you will not destroy their friends, okay? Offer to send reports, pre-positioning items to their friends, and then follow up on the telephone and ask, okay? The gift should be appropriate for the size of the sale. If you do a $40,000 kitchen, you give them a $10 movie ticket, that's going to seem like a little bit of a disconnect. If you do a $40,000 kitchen and give them a $50 gift card to Chili's or to Ruth's Chris, that's going to seem like it makes sense. It's easy to administer. Restaurants are great because everyone loves to eat. And here's what's going to happen. When they're at Chili's eating and they go to pay and they use that gift card, guess what? All of the positive experiences that they've had with you are going to flood back into their mind, and they're going to say to themselves, wow, what a great company that I just did business with. Okay, everybody loves the intrigue of a package, but that is more difficult to administer, so you may want to pass on that. Now, number 3, consistently asking for referrals. Your customers have a life. They don't want to sit there and sell for you. You could have built the most beautiful kitchen on the planet. 12 months later, they're going to forget who you are. You need to invest time and money to keep yourself fresh and relevant in their mind. The best way to do this is in the mail. It's pretty simple. Mail through the U.S. Postal Service your customers 4 to 6 times per year. Newsletters are typically garbage. I mean, that's probably saying it too strong. That's not what I want to do, though. I want to just use a postcard to remind them that I exist and to ask them for referrals. Letters are okay. Thank them for their business. Ask for referrals. It's a simple process. It's not complicated. We're not trying to be tricky here. We're just trying to stay in front of their face, keep ourselves in their brain, and let them know, hey, if you know anybody, could you please send them over? If you've wowed them and you've gifted them, this card should evoke a positive feeling. They're going to remember eating at Chili's, and they're going to be like, wow, I got a great kitchen. They sent me to dinner. My windows were fantastic, whatever the case, right? And it's going to keep you on top of their mind. Ask them for referrals. Don't be ashamed to ask for referrals. And now what's going to happen is 2 months later or 2 years later or 12 years later, you will get that referral. You can't control when they're going to happenstance have that conversation with somebody like I had with my brother-in-law about shoes. You just can't control that. But what you can control is making sure that you are on the tip of their mind with a positive recommendation when it does come up, okay? Remember, customers have better things to do with their time than selling for you. Most people don't know somebody who needs what you sell right at the point of sale. Don't be disappointed right after the job if you don't get any. The key is to make sure you have a strong recommendation when this topic naturally comes up, okay? It's a lot more like farming. That's what you need to know about getting referrals. Now, I'm going to make you an offer here that I think you're going to want to take advantage of. I want to help you with your marketing, and I want to do it in a risk-free way. I want to give your marketing a checkup. So here's what I'm going to offer you, and I'm going to launch a poll here in just a minute, and you can check off if you'd like to take advantage of this. And if you would, then we'll be in contact with you, and we'll take it from there. But here's what I want to do. First thing, a web marketing checkup. Grading your website on 18 different criteria, giving it a score from 0 to 100. Does it have the ability to convert people? Most of the websites we see score between 20 and 40, not good. There's no discernible identity. So we're going to talk to you also when we do this about your identity. Then we're going to grade your SEO on 21 different criteria, including a keyword ranking report. So we'll send you a printed, graded evaluation of your website. You can see like this right here, based on professionalism, search match, engagement tools, price conditioning, your homepage identity, evidence, product page identity. On the second page, social proof, reviews, galleries, and so forth. We'll give you any extra pluses or minuses. We'll give you a description of what your website's doing well, where it could use some attention. This will help you improve your marketing, period. Okay, this is what the SEO report looks like. It's a positive or negative on 21 points. Then a keyword ranking report on how you're doing for various keywords that you're going after. The SEO report that I'll send you is detailed, and it'll have specific recommendations what you need to do to improve. A lot of this you may not even understand, but we'll send it to you anyway. The other thing that we'll do is we'll have an identity consultation with you. We will talk to you about what you do, what makes you better, what makes you awesome, and all those kinds of things, and we'll find ways to communicate it through. It's an identity consultation. We normally charge $3,000 to create an identity for a company. Half of that is the discovery part, where we have to find out what goes into the identity. The other part is actually writing it. In this identity discovery session that I'm offering you for free, we will do the first part of that. The discovery session will help you find out what makes you tick, and will help you to catalog it so that you can actually take it now and put it into your marketing, okay? We also have some services that I'll make available to you. You could, if you're interested, check these off on the poll. The poll will be launched here in just a second. It starts with forging an identity, creating a website that converts. These are things that we do for our clients. We found that the majority of websites for remodeling companies, not that strong. That's why we do the grading system, so we can see, and then we can help you make them better. Driving traffic to your site, okay? We do all of this for a low payment. We've created something called the Monopolized Bundle. It's our most popular services: webinar training, identity, website, written, built. We do the SEO setup, regular SEO maintenance, website, mobile website, updating your website, pay-per-click management, pre-positioning materials. It's a $47,000 value. We do it for about $600 per month. It's $29.99 down and $5.99 a month, okay? So if you want to go to our website, you can see, if you click on the bonus bundles at mymonline.com, okay, you'll see what the bonus bundles are, and you can take a look at the various elements just by clicking on the various elements. It'll tell you exactly what's included, okay? We'll give you a quick offer, then I'll launch the poll. If you buy as a result of this webinar, we'll give you a $500 cash discount. We'll also give you a free upgrade on your SEO. We'll do the social media optimization for 2 years. That's a $10,000 value. The total value of that bonus is $10,500. Now, I'm going to launch a poll, and here's all you need to do. When I launch the poll, here it goes. Just check off if you're interested in the bonus bundle offer. We'll contact you. If you'd like the free web marketing checkup, check that off. If you'd like information about NT Windows, check that off. And we can reach out to you with help on those things. Now, what I'll do while you're thinking about that is I will also open this webinar up to any questions that you have. If you'd like to ask a question, just type them into the console, and I will handle those. So I'll let this poll stay open for a little bit longer, and we'll go from there. All right, I am also going to start checking for any questions. Let's see, where are the questions? There they are. Okay, you've got just a few more seconds on the poll. We're doing good. If you'd like to take advantage of the offers. Okay, I got a question from Jessica who says, is it possible to get an email with the slides for this? We have a couple of people that are out today that are missing this. We'll actually send a video of this webinar, a link that you can look at after the webinar, so you'll see that. I think we'll have it to you no later than tomorrow, maybe even later today, okay? Thanks, Jessica. I appreciate you participating. Wow, I said that wrong. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you 10 more seconds on the poll. If you'd like to take advantage of any of those offers, please check those off. If not, I will close the poll. Meanwhile, if you have any other questions, feel free to check those off. All right. And 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. I don't see any other questions. That must mean I did such a tremendous job of presenting the materials that nobody has any questions. I'll give you just a couple more seconds here. If you've got a question, I'd be happy to answer it. I see Rich Hall is on our webinar. Are you the same Rich Hall that was on HBO, not necessarily the news in the 1980s? Probably not, but you never know. Okay, here's a question that came in. Thank you for that. This is from Greg. Greg wants to know, how much does it cost to implement the super robust proximity marketing? That's a good question. And the answer is, it's going to cost you some money. That's the generic answer. The more specific answer is, what you're going to need to do is look at it in terms of how many people you're going to reach out to. I always recommend that you start this with 1 or 2 jobs if let's say you're doing 10 jobs per week, you don't want to instantly launch this program to all 10 jobs per week. Reach out to maybe 2 of the jobs, and here's what you're going to find. Depending on how much you have to pay the canvassing guy, this might cost you anywhere from a couple $100s to several $100s. And what you're looking for is a lead cost, right? So if it costs you $300, $400, $500, depending again on the quantity that you send out, and you're able to generate 2 or 3 strong leads and close 1 or 2, boom, you're in the money, okay? So roll it out small, and then you can build it up from there as you see the results that you're looking for. So hopefully that's helpful, Greg. Okay. Okay, I think that's it. I don't have any other questions, so we will go ahead and conclude the webinar. I'd like to thank everybody who participated, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.